The score full time, Republic of Ireland 0, Switzerland 1. The Football Association of Ireland would like to thank you for attending this evening's game and safe travels home.
John, are you of a mind to ask the FAI now that you be considered for the job full time?
I think that's something that we'll obviously discuss later on, but for me the full focus was look the two games, enjoy the moment in terms of learn from it, really understand it, learn about myself in terms of how I cope with the situation with the games, and learn do I want to do it more. And look, its emphatic answer for me would be yes, but where that is, let's wait and see.
Not now, later maybe? Not now? You don't think now? That your instinct saying not now?
No, you're saying that.
Yeah. No, I'm asking you, what's your instinct? Is it?
My instinct would be I'm ready, more than ready and capable to be a manager.
This is the Extratime.com podcast reacting to the Republic of Ireland's 1-0 defeat to Switzerland in what may or may not be John O'Shea's last game in charge for now. Interestingly, Brian Kerr thinks it is his last game in charge. We'll hear from him in a while. That clip you heard, by the way, was O'Shea reacting to a question from the Irish Independent's Dave Kelly in the post-match press conference. We'll have more from O'Shea in a while. Now, this podcast is not just about the Republic of Ireland. Later, we've got former Shamrock Rovers, St. Pat's, Sligo Rovers, Bolton, Cardiff, Plymouth, Hibernian and Oldham striker Eoin Doyle on playing in derbies and this Friday night's Dublin derby between Shamrock Rovers and Bows. Let's concentrate on Ireland for now. And at the Aviva, Shaqiri's first half free kick gave the Swiss a 1-0 victory. The analysis of Extratime.com's Ronan MacNamara, who was at the game to come. But first, here's John O'Shea speaking to Virgin Media Television's Anne-Marie Keegan on their performance and the possibility of getting the job on a more long-term basis.
You hold your hands up sometimes. Switzerland were the better team in the first half, but still they scored obviously you'd say a well worked goal from them, but we felt obviously it wasn't a foul. But look, you have to dust yourselves down. We did that, ended the first half on the front foot like we wanted to, kind of really start the game on the front foot. But as I mentioned, you respect Switzerland, quality team, good players, good experience, and they were kind of dominating us a bit too much for what we liked at the start of the game. Second half, really, really pleased with everybody because the commitment, the fight, the quality, a bit more care in the final third with that, maybe an extra touch or a pass and telling your mate where you were in a better position. And I think we definitely score and take something from the game.
You know, you're going to be asked these big questions now about what's next for you. The manager role here, if they offered it to you, would you take it?
Look, as I said, it's something that I've always wanted to do. In terms of now, I've had a taste of it for 2 games, but we'll dust ourselves down and let's see what happens then. But look, extremely proud of the staff, but most importantly, extremely proud of the group of players, how they responded in that second half, because Switzerland were dominating early in the first half. You hold your hands up, but we fixed a few things and we've responded brilliantly.
Do you feel you've done enough over the course of the last week to certainly throw your hat in the ring at least?
Look, let's wait and see. I can only speak for how much myself and the staff have enjoyed working with the players and the staff around it. The whole environment it's always been electric for me when I go away with Ireland, from playing to coaching. Now obviously these couple of games managing, so amazing moments, but it's only given me the taste for a lot more.
John O'Shea speaking to Anne-Marie Keegan. Now that game, as we say, was live on Virgin Media Television. You can watch it back on the Virgin Media player. Why am I plugging Virgin so much? Well, because I'm going to rob more of their audio. Brian Kerr chatted to them after the game. He was, of course, on a night off from Virgin to work with Ireland as an advisor. After the game, Anne-Marie asked him if O'Shea could be the permanent manager.
All the indications that were given to me when I was approached initially was that that the FAI have somebody in mind, and that if somebody organised, and that's going to happen sometime after these 2 games. So I presume that's still the case. John has gone about his business very well in a very short space of time. An awful lot of work to do in terms of pulling a staff together, then deciding on the players, selecting the squad, coming in. We really only had 3 days of preparations before the first game, 3 actual training days. So there was an awful lot of work to be done. So in that, he managed to achieve an awful lot, I think. But he's definitely managing material. He's been building up a lot of experience at different clubs he's at with the different managers he's worked with, and he said himself that he wants to get into management. But I don't know what the exact position is, but I understand that the FAI have somebody else lined up, and unless I hear otherwise, that's what I'm taking as a situation. I'm sure John will have a part to play in future setups, whether it's with the next manager or other managers or with some of the other underage teams. I don't know specifically, but I would think that he has done himself no harm over these 2 games in the way he's worked and gone about his business.
So judging by what Brian Kerr was saying there, O'Shea may not get the job this time around, but he's more than capable of doing it in the future. Who knows what will happen. Right, Extratime.com's Ronan MacNamara was watching the match from the press box, where he stayed afterwards for this chat, braving the cold. Fair play to him. I started by asking him what kind of game it was.
It was a very drab affair, Oisin. Lit up, I suppose, by a moment of quality from Jordan Shaqiri. Free kick in the 23rd minute, just curling around the wall. Into the bottom corner, past Gavin Bazunu at his near post. And to be perfectly honest, from both sides, that was about it, really. The Switzerland goalkeeper, Eoin Mavogo, didn't really have a meaningful save to make. One header from Andrew Omambamidele and a couple of crosses he came and punched away. And that was pretty much it. Switzerland hit the post then in the first half as well. Granit Xhaka capitalised on a poor Gavin Bazunu kick, and he hit the foot of the post. So it could have been 2-0, and it could have been even worse for Ireland. But a really poor game, but one Switzerland deserved to win just for the quality from the free kick and the fact that Ireland created precious little on the night.
Can we take anything from it?
I wouldn't, to be honest, no.
Nothing. Ronan, give me something.
Finn Azaz came on with 5-10 minutes to go and looked bright. Adam Media came on just before the hour mark, added a bit of presence, ran the channels really well. But while our front 3 kind of sparkled on Saturday to a degree, like Evan Ferguson, Sammy Schmodix, and tonight Mikey Johnson didn't really get into the game at all, weren't at the races. The midfield was very passive. At the end of the day, Switzerland were just bigger than us, stronger than us, and they played around us at times, particularly in the first half. And it wasn't even a full strength Switzerland team, and they still looked a class above us, to be honest.
I was watching Virgin Media immediately after the match, and Damien Delaney said, possibly we should have tried something different, even if that meant gambling. So he suggested maybe we should have gone to a 4-3-3. Would you agree with that point? You were obviously at the game and had the best vista possible from the press box. Do you think that might have made any difference? Do you think we could have tried it, should have tried it?
Yeah, I think we should have tried a different system, particularly in the last 15-20 minutes of the game, because what we were doing just wasn't working. Like, O'Shea, in fairness, rang the changes, but he didn't really change the system. Like, I have my issues with the 5 at the back when we've 2 wing backs who don't really want to get to the end line. Like, it was very easy for Switzerland to defend against us. We get to the edge of the box and there'd be no overlap. So eventually the ball would end up at Nathan Collins' feet back on the halfway line. Whereas, maybe going to a 4-3-3, we could have got some natural wingers playing and maybe took on the Swiss a bit more. Like tonight, just nothing O'Shea tried really worked, to be honest.
And Delaney also said we never had a foothold in the game. So again, I don't think I've heard anything from you or didn't see anything in the game myself that would in any way possess me to argue with him on that point.
No, the midfield was very passive, very ponderous on the ball. A lot of times going sideways and backways when, you could flick a ball around the corner and, get us on the front foot, turn out when you get the ball from defence. But that didn't really happen. And I know it's only a friendly, but it is disappointing because the Belgium showing, was promising. There were some good signs, albeit Belgium were really, really poor on the day. But yeah, like there was just no real kick from this Irish team at all. Even towards the end, never really looked like scoring, never threatened. Yeah. There was just not really many positives, Oisin, to be honest.
Do you know what's mad? I'm a lot more positive than you are. Now, I wasn't at the game. I watched it from home. But I think maybe you're reacting to what you saw, not only on the pitch, but in the crowd as well. It seemed to be a very mute atmosphere. And even when they were trying to create, and even when they created half chances, which they did, the crowd never really reacted. I think maybe they're just like, well, listen, we got excited about the Belgium game, but this is the second game of this. We don't know what's happening. Like, we don't know if this guy's going to be in charge tomorrow or for the next game. And that kind of uncertainty seemed to quell the atmosphere. Is that a correct or incorrect reading, or am I completely wrong there?
Yeah, I fully agree with you there, Oisin. There is a lot of uncertainty, and I suppose it became more apparent when, everyone knew Ireland weren't going to go on and win the game, let alone draw. And all of a sudden, I suppose the crowd kind of does turn to John O'Shea and think, well, actually, maybe you're not going to be here come June for the two other friendlies that we've coming up. So, look, it's an uncertain time for Irish football. Roberto Di Matteo was spotted with Jonathan Hill tonight, but the FAI were quick to rule that out. So he was just playing a passing visit. Look, it's hard to know where we go from here. I suppose we better wait until April and see what Mark Hannam says about a managerial announcement, because the ticket situation tonight as well didn't really help. That's been, dealt with, but 35,000 here, it didn't really feel.
I'd actually argue that 35,742, given the circumstances, given that it's a Tuesday night, given that it's a friendly, given that we don't know if this is the future of our team, as in the manager, he may very well be. I think actually 35,742 is not a bad crowd. Ronan, just before I let you go, Mick McCarthy has said that O'Shea is the man and that he should get the job. What do you think from what you've seen over the last couple of days, and this is a very vague question I'm about to ask, from reading the crowd tonight, how do you think they'd react? I'm asking you basically, tell me the opinion of every Irish football fan judging off tonight's crowd, which you think is a poor crowd, but I think is an okay crowd.
Well, I won't judge it from the text that have been coming into my phone, but it's hard to know, because I suppose Ireland fans do want a face, someone who's been there and done it for Ireland, somebody who they can get behind and they can connect to it, because there was that with Stephen Kenny, and I suppose that is something that could be worth holding on to. The FAI, like O'Shea, he is inexperienced, but I suppose he has picked 2 international teams now, so he's probably more experienced than some of the names we've been linked to it. But it looks like Ireland are going to go and trek around Europe and try find a manager at the moment. So do we really want to do that, or is it worth sticking with O'Shea, maybe just even for the Nations League, because this year is not a qualifying campaign, so I suppose there is a less of a risk with sticking with O'Shea for the time being.
That was Extratime.com's Ronan MacNamara speaking to me from the press box in the Aviva in the aftermath of Switzerland's 1-0 victory over the Republic of Ireland. Now, that chat was conducted before John O'Shea and Brian Kerr gave the interviews you heard earlier on, but that doesn't necessarily mean that Ronan is wrong. Brian Kerr did indicate that he thinks someone has already got the job and it's not John O'Shea. But who knows? There's been so much flip-flopping and talk of people being offered the job and talk of people taking the job and then subsequently not taking the job, or maybe they didn't want the job in the first place. Who knows? So Ronan isn't necessarily wrong in what he was saying there, right? Let's switch to some League of Ireland talk. The Dublin Derby takes place this Friday night. An always huge fixture between Shamrock Rovers and Bohemians, and it looks like there'll be over 10,000 people in Tallaght to watch that game, which is a huge crowd by League of Ireland standards. Earlier in the week, Eoin Doyle helped launch Darkness into Light 2024. Now, this launch did take place on Monday, so it was before Alan Reynolds was announced as the Bulls manager, but it doesn't change a whole pile about what we chatted about. We didn't just talk about the Dublin Derby, by the way. We talked about a range of things, and I know what you're thinking. Surely he gave all his good stuff to Dan and Johnny a couple of weeks ago on the LOI Central. No, he didn't. He kept some stuff for me. Anyway, Darkness into Light 2024 is proudly supported by Electric Ireland. Darkness into Light is a global movement dedicated to ending suicide and supporting those who engage in self-harm. By taking part, participants play an important role in removing the stigma around suicide and self-harm, as well as raising vital funds to fight suicide. The annual event takes place on Saturday, May 11th, and people can sign up to take part at darknessintolight.ie. If you've never done a Darkness into Light event, I advise you to get out there and do it. It's really fulfilling. And I'm not even doing it justice by using that word. Anyway, I started by asking Eoin, quite simply, how he was.
Not bad yourself?
I'm very good. We'll talk about the Dublin Derby and a few other things in a few minutes, but Obviously, Darkness into Light, supported by Electric Ireland, is all about taking care of yourself and taking care of those around you. I imagine as a footballer, that's something you had to watch. That's something you had to really take care of, your mental health, because football, much as we love it, is a tough and stressful environment.
Yeah, definitely. You'd find yourself, I suppose, getting upset when you weren't in a team, or maybe an injury. And anytime, while I've been very fortunate, I never suffered with any mental health issues or anything like that. I always found myself at my worst when I was injured and I wasn't able to get out for exercise that day, basically, when I had to completely rest. And now, since I've stopped playing, I didn't do anything for the first 3 months, but I did a timber, and had to sort that out after Christmas. And the difference in my mood and how I feel by getting up my 4 or 5 mornings a week and just going for a run, definitely helps me. And that's kind of my way of kind of staying on top of it.
Do you think you didn't suffer mental health issues because it was something you were aware of, because it was something you watched, and it sounds like you've got good family around you as well, which is quite important. That's something I heard you talk about with Dan and Johnny on LOI Central.
Yeah, my family is incredible. My wife Kerr is so supportive. Mum, Dad, I couldn't have had a better upbringing. I've been so lucky, so grateful for everything that I've had. But yeah, whether it was an awareness, and obviously everyone's got different circumstances and stuff, and it's hard to pinpoint things. But just for me, moving the body is able to keep my mind on track and all that. So that's kind of my output, and I'm kind of trying to stay sane, I suppose.
Yeah, aren't we all? And you do early morning exercise anyway, even outside of Darkness into Light. It's something you kind of do anyway, and there's something nice about starting in the dark and ending in the light, isn't there?
100%. It's like funny enough, the Dark into Light, the event I'm going to is in Marley Park, and that's where I run every morning. I'm actually up there most mornings now and experiencing the Darkness into Light. I'm looking forward to going to the actual event this time. And Kieran and my mum went last year, and when they came back in after it, they found it very moving, very powerful. So I'm looking to get up there myself and kind of experience it. But yeah, getting up every morning, like I was told something years ago, where if you win the morning, you win the day, and it's something that stuck with me. And just getting up early and kind of getting after it is beneficial to me anyway.
And you're a runner now. How have you found getting used to individual exercise as opposed to exercising and training and working with the team?
You have to think about it more. It's harder to obviously stay motivated to do it. But yeah, it's something I do kind of more or less religiously. I get up early and I'm home, showered and everything before the kids get up to get to school and stuff. So it kind of works out well for me in that sense. But yeah, self-motivation is a different animal compared to being forced to go out and play a bit of football with the lads or whatever. So it's definitely different, but I'm enjoying it, I really am.
And the motivation, I suppose, and maybe the how you rate it might be different, because as a footballer and a striker, scoring goals is how you know you're doing your work well. That's how you know what you're doing on the training pitch is the right thing. Whereas with individual exercise and running or whatever, those goals, if you'll pardon the pun, might be a bit different. So what are those goals now, and was that tough to kind of change and adapt to?
Yeah, so I just kept it simple and regarding the goals situation, in the sense of just doing it is enough now. So I'm not out there breaking records. I don't care about the time I do me running or anything like that. As long as I get up and do it, that's the crucial thing. It's a 6K run I do every morning, 4 or 5 mornings a week anyway, and the exact same loop every time, and it can vary from 26 minutes to 28, and I don't care whatever time it lands in at. So it's just a matter of getting up and doing it. That's it now.
And you reward yourself with the coffee at the end of it? Because I when I lived in Dundrum, I actually ran in Marley Park, a lot slower and a lot less distance, I imagine, than you did, but there was always nice places to get coffee at the end of the run.
Oh, there's great coffee there, but I'm actually up there too early for it. There's nowhere open.
Okay.
I'm back in the house now. Apparently that opens, but it's I'm never short of having a cup or two of coffee anyway.
Yeah, I'd say you're fueled on coffee. You were always part of a team, or have been part of a team for the last couple of years, but you're part of an outside football work team now and a family team. Are they similar? Are they different? Did it take a while to adapt to the non-footballing team?
Yeah, well, obviously, with a family, it kind of looks after itself. You have to just do your best for everyone around you, and that's what I try and do. And obviously now I'm a childcare provider. That's the business that we've kind of set up, and started like 4 or 5 years ago, and was kind of fortunate enough to be able to kind of bounce straight into that when I finished playing to kind of keep the transition smooth. And yeah, it's definitely a different environment, 100%. There's no egos. That always helps. Apart from my own, of course. But apart, like, that's allowed. Yeah, that's allowed, of course. Yeah, but no, yeah, there's no egos, and everyone's willing to work hard and get the work done and stuff. So it's no, I'm enjoying it. And to be fair, like, I've got really good staff around me in childcare. Like, my mum's in there, and Jen, the manager, she does great work and stuff. So it's very blessed to have good people around me.
The Dublin Derby. Let's take a deep dive into that. You've played in many derbies. How does the Dublin Derby compare? Even though I know it's kind of a weird one, because when you played for Rovers, they wouldn't have been the all-conquering Rovers they are now. They were good, but they just weren't this Rovers.
Yeah, no, of course, it was Rovers at a time where it was pre-Tala, so it was different. Than Bows were obviously very strong at the time, were challenging for titles and stuff, and that wasn't the case when I was at Rovers or whatever. But in comparison, they're all different. All the ones I played in over the years are completely different. They've all got their unique atmospheres and build up to the games, and the passion that goes around them. They're all so enjoyable that you can definitely feel the aura within the building and the training in the lead up to the games. Regarding the Dublin Derby, like, yeah, it's local. You know, this is like, when I was in England or Scotland playing in them, not that I didn't care, but like, I'd sleep well at night if I lost one, because like, as long as I try my best, I know the neighbour's not going to, who is me mate or my cousin or a family member, isn't going to be snarling at me. But that's different here. Rovers and Bows, a lot of the lads will be playing for basically the team that they grew up in the area, and there's all that kind of stuff. So it's probably the only little difference there, you know.
You were already an adult by the time that Rovers moved into Tala, and you're from Fairhouse, and Fairhouse and Tala are pretty much aligned. Are you a Rovers fan, or are you a Pats fan? Or
yeah, no, I'm a Rovers fan.
Okay.
A soft spot for Pats. I don't know if that's allowed, is it? But
no, that's okay.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm a Cork City fan who commentates for Pats, so
right, okay.
Everyone's conflicted in this league. Everyone is conflicted.
We've both got our issues.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I have several more issues than that. But go on anyway. You're a Rovers fan, so you're following them as a fan now.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. And we good music to my ears there last week, and I thought I was getting lucky at the start of the season regarding the fixtures. If Rovers weren't at home, Pats were at home the next week, and actually, when Mark Scanlon was talking, he was saying Pats and Rovers can't play at home on the same evening, so they have to be alternative or whatever. So that's music to my ears. I'm up in Tala. I've been up in Tala for all the games. I've been in Inchicore for all the home games as well this year. So I'll do that throughout the season. I'll bring me two eldest boys to all the matches, and they've got the bug for it now as well. So I've been enjoying it.
And I remember a couple of weeks ago asking you to come on with us on Friday night, and you said you couldn't because you're bringing your kids, and that is sacrosanct. That's beautiful. How important is that time to you?
Of course, obviously, like, my kids have been to loads of games over the years watching me and stuff, but I never got to experience it beside them, you know. When I was living in Liverpool, I brought them to a few Liverpool games and really enjoyed it. So it's to be able to do an hour every Friday night, it's great.
I remember when you said that to me, I said, God, I wish Eoin Doyle was my dad. But that's fantastic. Would you like them to get into football, or like?
Yeah, they both play.
Okay.
They both play now, and they both love it. Like, they're heavily involved, and they've got the love for it. There's match attacks all over the house, and it's just everything's football. So it's they've got the bug off me, definitely.
And is it fun to watch them follow football in a different way to, I was going to say our generation, but I'd say a good 15 years on you, to your generation, when it was kind of nearly just about the football? It wasn't so much about, well, you would have had FIFA soccer and you would have had computer games, whereas they now have like the YouTubers and the watch-alongs and just all this other stuff that I wouldn't know about. They can still follow football, but in a different sort of way.
Yeah, they've got an insight into the players' lives and stuff. That's something we probably didn't ever had as a kid growing up supporting it. They talk to me about Haaland's wages, and Messi's got this car, and Ronaldo's got this and that, and like just different kind of outlooks on it compared to, I suppose, we were just watching for the football when you could get it on the weekend. But they're on YouTube every day. They'd be typing in like Ronaldinho skills and just a deep love for it. Like, you know, they've really got the bug. It's great. Like, I enjoy listening to them. I enjoy bringing them to the matches. It's definitely different how now compared to how we would have seen it, definitely.
And it's a fan experience at Tala as well, which is important, which you wouldn't have had great fan experiences or venues when you were their age in the League of Ireland. I actually can't really. Turner's Cross was good, and Sligo, Eamon DC Park, I think Galway might have been up and down. So yeah, so it's great to have that kind of fan experience. And Richmond Park is in its own way is good, but like they tell you themselves, they'd be the first to admit it. You know, it needs major work.
Yeah, but like from a kid's point of view, they don't see it like that. They're just looking at the buzz of walking down Emmett Road with thousands of other people, everyone buzzing for the match and getting in early and watching the warm up, and they get a Mars bar off me and a can of Coke, which is a rare treat for them, and they love all that. And that's what they see. They don't see Richmond Park for what it is. They kind of see it for the buzz that's in there.
Yeah.
And similar going up to Tala, like, you know, it's great experiences for the boys. Like they love it, and it's great me going to the games with them, and this is the first time I'm able to experience games like this now as well, but to do it alongside them, magic.
And are they Pats fans or Rovers fans? That's the big question.
I ask them every week and they can't give me a straight answer. My middle child Joey plays for Rovers, so I suppose he's leaning towards them a bit more and Danny, the older one, kind of might lean against a bit more towards Pats, just because they have to be the opposite of Joey. So bit of rivalry there already.
And now that you're in the crowd, you're kind of hearing some of the things shouted onto the pitch. I don't know if you heard them when you were on the pitch, but now that you're hearing them from the stand, are you thinking, I didn't know people were this mean to us sometimes?
Yeah, I heard very little when I was out on the pitch, very little at all. Like, and if I did, I was able to just dismiss it real quick because the game was going on or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of it's an eye opener now, kind of listening to some of the shouts, and some of them are rational, some of them not.
Yeah.
Some of them too close to home maybe with some of the shouts and stuff. But listen, the game's for the fans, and if they can go out there for 90 minutes and vent, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So long as it's not over the top, it's all good.
Yeah.
There's some good, clever, funny shouts which are kind of playful, and that's okay. Let's talk about the actual game itself this Friday night. Shamrock Rovers hosting Bohemians in the Dublin derby. What kind of match do you think it'll be?
I think it'll be hectic. It'll start fast like most derbies do. I'm sure Bowles will be keen to get into them early and try and frighten them a bit. Obviously, we're waiting to see if the new manager's going to be in place for Bowles, and if he is, I'm sure he'll try a couple of days now to get the lads to do as he wants on the pitch. And I'm sure he'll be going in with the mindset of, let's get after him here, let's press hard as a derby, let's make it uncomfortable for Rovers. And obviously from Rovers' point of view, they'll be just looking at the game like they look at every other game, and they're very calm in possession, and they're very calm and detailed in their build-up play. So yeah, no, it'd be more the same for Rovers, and a bit of hecticness from Bowles, if that's even a word, just to kind of bring a bit of life into the game. And I'm really looking forward. We can't wait. Massive crowd. So
as we speak, we don't know who's going to be managing Bowles. Well, we don't know if they'll have a permanent manager. But do you think that whoever comes in, the tactics will probably be the same of sit deep and try and catch Rovers on the break, and they have the pace of Connolly to do that. They've got Clark, they've got McManus, they've got the player, and in Piszczek you've got a player who can hold the ball up, and we saw that against Pats. That's exactly what they did, and they did it effectively. Do you think that's what they'll do this time around?
I don't know. I think maybe in moments, if Rovers get through the first, if they can break the first line, then I'd imagine Bowles will sit a bit deep and wait for their opportunity. But I'd imagine, considering it's a derby, like if for goal kicks and stuff, they'll be pressing very high and trying to keep the pitch as compact as you possibly can in Tala, which is hard because it's such a big pitch. But I'd imagine they'll definitely go in with a different outlook on it, as if it wasn't a derby. So it's important, I suppose, for the fans as well. They don't want to see your team sitting off, especially in such a big game. They want to see you getting after them, and you can kind of find an extra 10% of energy and fitness levels through adrenaline in these games, and I'm sure they'll be using that to their utmost going into this.
And for Shamrock Rovers, they got their first win of the season against Galway United. Well, the first win in the league season against Galway United. So they've got a bit of a boost going into this one. Gary O'Neill didn't play against Galway. Not sure if he's going to be available here, but when he's not there, you see how big a player he actually is. So he'd be a huge loss if he wasn't available.
Of course, yeah. It's one of the most important positions on the pitch. It's that kind of undervalued, underappreciated midfielder, and you don't really notice how good they are until they come out of the team and how much you miss them. And Pats have it with Jamie Lennon. You can see Gary Deegan and Drogheda is in a similar mould, and they're highly valuable players. And Gary's done such a good job there. He's so composed and he's very calm under pressure. 99% of the times he makes the correct decisions for his team, which is a valuable player to have. From Robert's point of view, they've got such strength and depth that I'd imagine anyone can go in there and fill in and do a really good job. And they've still got some of their best players to come back. So I'm sure they'll be excited to get them back on board and hoping to kick on now.
In the week of a derby, whether or not it's the Dublin derby or one of the many derbies that you played in Bolton, Wigan, you played in Preston, Burnley. That's a derby, right? Isn't it?
Yeah,
Preston, Burnley, yeah. And a few others as well at the Edinburgh derby. Obviously, that's a big one. and I appreciate the approach might be different per club and per manager, but was it all about you're playing in a derby this week, or do you just approach it the same as any other match and you do all your tactics in your meetings and you don't even acknowledge that it's a derby? What way does it work?
There's always acknowledgement there. Yeah, there's more often than not. If you listen, like games are won and lost and like small percentages. Like if you can lean into the fact that it is a derby. 99% of managers are going to use that to try to get the extra percent out of his players to kind of give them that motivation to try and get the win. So no, there's definitely big mention in that. And it's hard to miss. It's hard to miss all that, even if a manager tried to play it down or whatever and not make it as big a deal that it is. It is like you can feel the aura around the building leading up to it, you know.
Yeah, I did a quick bit of research, and I think while you did score in the derby, you never actually won one with Shamrock Rovers. You weren't there that long, and Rovers, as we say, were not the powerhouse that they are now. Is that something that you kind of look back in your career and go, oh, I'd love to have won one, but at least I scored in one? What are your memories of it? What's your view of it?
I definitely wish I had won one. Yeah, I didn't know that stat there. Thanks for that. Yeah, no, I remember scoring. Yeah, and it was in Dalymount, and it was back when the stand opposite the Jody stand was still in use, and it was great. All the Rovers fans were stood up on the hill there. It was great atmosphere and stuff. We obviously lost that game. I know when I scored, it wasn't a celebration. It was grab the ball out of the back of the net and get going again type of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I would have. You know what? I haven't really looked back at my career at all since I've retired. So it's not something I've thought about, if I'm being honest. But it would have been nice to get a win already. I would just say it.
Well, yeah, but listen. You had a very, very good career, so I wouldn't be beating yourself up. Now I only looked at the Rovers Bows derby games. Did you score in other derbies, and what was that like?
Did I score in other derbies? This is a good question. Yeah, I scored Yeah, and probably lesser known one. Oldham Rochdale, I probably scored the best goal I've ever scored.
Oh wow, okay.
Rochdale. Did I score? And I didn't score in the Edinburgh one. Missed a sitter. Oh, it haunts me now. Even now, missed a sitter in that one. Yeah. Threw 1-on-1, blasted it over the bar. Couldn't believe it. Lost all composure in the big moment. I'd say Nutsy remembers it well. But yeah, no. Do you know what? I don't. Apart from that, I definitely didn't score in the Preston one. Bolton, Wigan. No. I think that was. Not many derbies.
You actually scored 2 for Oldham in that 3-1 win against Rochdale on the 18th of November in 2017.
Yeah.
So that was a nice memory, I'm sure.
Yeah, fair play, yeah.
There we go. Actually, Cameron Dummigan played in that game as well at right back.
Yeah, and Jack was there and Patrick McElhenney was there as well. Yeah, so we had a good crew at Oldham at the time, good Irish crew.
Yeah, very good crew. Managed by Richie Wellens. I am, of course, Googling all this, obviously. I'm not just taking it from memory. Paul Green was there as well.
Green was there, yeah.
Wow, okay. Yeah,
great top pro. Yeah.
Was he, yeah?
Oh, yeah, great. He's, he's one of the top 3 or 4 pros I ever came across in my career. Just completely committed his body to the cause type of player. Like, he was really, really on it. Like.
Yeah. He always looked like he was incredibly hardworking and kind of went about it with no ego. How do you think Friday night's derby is going to go?
I'm hoping for goals, praying for goals. So we'll go with a 3-2 win for Rovers. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, and Rovers to win the league again, or do you think Patrick Hooban has changed things up for Derry?
I would still have Rovers as my favourites. I look at Derry, and while I think they're really, really good at the minute, and Pat's made such a difference to them, I'd worry about their injury records and the personnel they have up there in that sense. If they can keep patting the pitch for 98% of the games, they've got a real chance. Trying to keep him fit, McElhenney fit, Duffy fit. All these players kind of have historical injury issues, and it'll be important for them to keep them fit if they're going to challenge.
And what about St. Pat's? Look, I won't go into too much detail because I think you know so many of the guys and played with them and have that great relationship with them. That it would be unfair to ask you to analyse them. But do you watch Pats now and kind of still feel very close to it because you know so many of them and you know kind of what the vibe around the club, and you know you were part of that squad and you would have played with most of these players?
Yeah, of course, some great friends in there still. Yeah, they're and a great bunch of lads. But like regarding their start of the season, obviously not as planned. They started with obviously the back 3. They've changed it since, and it's helped them since they've changed it. So you're really expecting to see change now with results-wise coming into the next few games. I'm sure he's going to more than often than not stick with the back 4 rather than the back 5 or the 3-5-2, whatever you want to describe it. But Yeah, they were just tinkering obviously with the formation. It's helped them since they've changed it. So yeah, no, we've I'd be still very confident that Pats are going to be top 3 this year. Very confident.
And with St. Pat's, people always say, "Oh, it's a small pitch," but yet when they go with width, it seems to suit them. When you're on that pitch and playing, does it feel as big as any other pitch, or does it feel small? What's it like out there?
No, it does feel a little bit tighter. I don't actually think it is though. I think I remember having this conversation in there. Like, I think it's just the way the stadium is, the how close the fans are to you that make it seem smaller than what it is. I know a few balls have gone down that channel, and I feel like I've been drowning trying to chase them. So it must be a bit bigger. It must be a bit bigger than than what it looks like from the side. But I've got confidence Pat's are going to turn things around.
Yeah, and I would share that confidence. But of course, the difference is people should respect and care about your opinion. They should not respect and care about mine. Owen, it has been a real joy talking to you. Thanks very much for joining us on the Extra Time League of Ireland podcast. That, of course, is Eoin Doyle speaking at the launch of Darkness into Light 2024, proudly supported by Electric Ireland. Darkness into Light is a global movement dedicated to ending suicide and supporting those who engage in self-harm. By taking part, participants play an important role in removing the stigma around suicide and self-harm, as well as raising vital funds to fight suicide. The annual event takes place on Saturday, May 11th, and people can sign up to take part at darknessintolight.ie. Owen, really appreciate your time. Enjoy the match on Friday night, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Eugene.
Always great to chat to Eoin Doyle. That's it for the Extratime.com podcast covering the Republic of Ireland's 1-0 defeat to Switzerland, and of course that long and lengthy chat with Eoin Doyle. Luke Jordan will be along in the next couple of days with an Extratime.com League of Ireland podcast, and I'll be back late on Friday night, most likely early on Saturday morning with an Extratime.com League of Ireland voice notes podcast, when we will be looking back on, amongst other games, that Dublin derby. We'll also have a podcast, by the way, on Monday night, featuring the Bank Holiday Monday matches. Will I go through the fixtures? Do you need me to tell you the fixtures? Well, look, just in case, I'll do it. I'll get the app out on my phone and we'll go through the fixtures, even though if you're listening to a podcast, that means you can work the internet and you can go and find them yourself, but I'll save you the bother. On Friday night, Derry City taking on Galway, Drogheda United up against St. Pat's, Shelbourne welcome Dundalk, Waterford take on Sligo Rovers, and Shamrock Rovers meet Bows. That game kicks off at 8 o'clock. That's live on RTE, the rest live on LOI TV. In the First Division, Bray Wanderers meet Cove Ramblers, Cork City take on Athlone, Kerry meet Wexford, Longford Town are up against UCD, and Treaty United take on Finn Harps. I had a long chat with Tommy Barrett, the Treaty United manager, on last Friday night, Saturday morning's League of Ireland Voice Notes podcast. It's well worth a listen. He talks about what's going on at Treaty, and there is something special going on there, and he also talks about toxicity amongst football supporters. Not a huge problem for Treaty, but it was talked about an awful lot last week. That chat definitely worth your time. On Saturday, the SSE Airtricity Women's Premier Division take centre stage as Bohemians meet Cork City, Shamrock Rovers take on Treaty United, Peamount are up against Wexford, Sligo Rovers meet Galway, and Athlone Town take on Shelbourne. On Monday, a full range of fixtures in both the First Division and Premier Division. We'll start with the Premier. At 1 o'clock, Dundalk take on Drogheda United. At 5 o'clock, Shelbourne take on Derry City. Also at 5, it's St. Pat's against Sligo Rovers, Waterford against Shamrock Rovers, and at 7:45, it's Galway United against Bows. So the Shells Derry, Pats Rovers, and Waterford Shamrock Rovers games all kick off at 5. The Galway United Bows game is live on Virgin Media, so that kicks off at 7:45. Well, I've taken so much of their audio for this podcast, it's only fair I plug their coverage. Dundalk against Drogheda United is at 1 o'clock. That means you could go to that and make a 5 o'clock game. No problem. Of course, you're not all as sad as me, so you won't do that, will you? Right, the First Division. Cove Ramblers take on Longford at 3. Wexford up against Cork City, also at 3. At 5, Athlone Town take on Treaty United, and Finn Harps meet Bray. UCD against Kerry, also a 5 o'clock kickoff. So those are the fixtures. All of those games live on LOI TV, as I say, with the exception of Galway United against Bows, which is live on Virgin Media. Don't forget to check out extratime.com for everything that's happening in Irish football. And of course, you can get in contact with me via @Oisin Langan. That's it for this podcast. We'll catch you soon. Take care. Bye bye.